You're listening to the Path Radio Spotlight. I'm your host, Guido Piraino, and I'm here to tell you that she's not here to tiptoe into country music. She's here to kick the door wide open. With over 2 million streams, a CMA Fest debut, and a voice that can hush a crowd or light up a stadium, Bree Taylor is carving her own lane in a genre that's overdue for a shakeup. Her latest single, Wake Up, is a gritty, high octane anthem that blends country and soul with rock swagger, and it's already racked up over 200,000 streams and views. But behind the power chords and powerhouse vocals is a story of resilience, reinvention, and an artist who refuses to be boxed in. She's hitting stages across the country this summer, from Oakville to Nashville, and today she's here to take us inside the music, the moments, and the mindset that keep her charging forward. Bree Taylor, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much.
Everything's going great today.
Yeah, it's good. It's been a busy day, a lot of press interviews, so it's been a busy day for me, but I'm always excited to chat and talk music, so I'm excited to be here.
Those are great things. Love to hear that you're doing the pressers. Look, I mentioned Oakville in the intro, and I know it's one of your tour stops, but you are all over the GTA. Just to clarify, is Mississauga your hometown, or where did your musical story originally begin?
Mississauga's been where I've lived for the last 12 years. My parents grew up in Mississauga for most of their lives, and that's where they met. But we've lived all over the GTA. My dad currently lives in Oakville. My mom's out in Peterborough. We kind of lived all over the place in those places and all around. So yeah, but Mississauga's been home for me, and it's been such a great community. They're really supportive of the arts, and I've had some great opportunities through the Mississauga music community. So it's been great to be a part of it. And yeah, we played on the Oakville town celebration, like their little town square thing that they have, their TD concert series. We played on the 10th um, of August, and it was a lot of fun. It was a really hot day though, so it was one of those really hot, humid weekends, and people were kind of drenched in sweat. So I don't know if they really were coming out as much as they would have any other weekend. They had apologized to me, saying like, "This is one of the hottest weekends of the summer, or worst turnout." I'm like, "It's all good. I don't care. We'll play for as many little or few people as we can." But yeah, it was good feedback. It was a good show, and I love Oakville.
That's right on. Oakville, and you mentioned Peterborough, the 115. Any songs written along the 115 when you're driving, or what?
Not really. I wouldn't say I've written any songs on there, but I definitely enjoy those drives. They're kind of a fun drive out because you're almost into that cottage country, into that
Right.
country vibes. So yeah, my mom takes that road often. She drove up back home today actually.
Right on. So shout out to all over the GTA, and gosh, we could have a whole conversation just about the different roads and paths and countryside roads even along the way. Look, outside of music, as we just get introduce you to folks who are listening, what personal passions or experiences do fuel your creativity? And how do those elements sneak into your songwriting in maybe expected or unexpected ways?
Honestly, my music is really like personal in terms of my day-to-day experiences. So I wouldn't really say any of my like external passions kind of jump into my music. I say I'm very much like a personal experience type person. So whatever I am in going through on an emotional level is really what fuels and inspires my music in terms of songwriting. So if I'm going through heartbreak, or I'm like, in love or happy or wanting to write about that and manifest that, like I did with my song Standing Still, or, anything that I'm going through on like with a friendship level, or if I feel like people are being fake or are disingenuous or something like that, like those are the kinds of things that really inspire my songwriting versus actual like passions or things that I do. But I do have a lot of things that I like to enjoy outside of music, of course. I like to read and spend time with friends and family and my dogs. And, but honestly, my career takes up so much of my time. So it really is something that is a big passion in and of itself, really.
That's right on. That's pretty neat. So I guess we're getting the real deal when we hear your songs. We're experiencing real Brie, right?
Definitely. I feel like
Yeah.
it's really my soul kind of being bared to the world in my music. It's my personal experiences and stories. And it's a very personal and autobiographical kind of thing to be able to songwrite that way, which is, I think the most honest way to put music out there. And I think that's when I started to tap into that, when people really started to resonate a little bit more as well.
It's just I forgive me, it's just so courageous to be able to put yourself out there and expose it in through music too. So sticking with personal, And something I can relate to. I understand that your journey also includes overcoming some hearing impairment. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how has that challenged or shaped maybe not just your music, but your creative process leading into music or outlook?
Yeah, I'm hearing impaired, and it's something that I've gone through since I was a little kid. I wasn't born deaf, but I had a hearing impairment that progressively got worse as I got older. I had a lot of hearing issues. For a lot of my childhood, I didn't even know that I was hearing impaired. I just, people would make jokes, and I'd laugh, thinking, everyone else is laughing, but I didn't hear what was funny. And then eventually, when I finally got to see a hearing specialist, I got to a point where he had done way too many surgeries and he kind of butchered some stuff going on in there. And it was a
Mm.
not so great experience for me. And then got passed along to my specialist that I've been seeing ever since. And then when I got to him at 15, he said, I unfortunately don't want to do any more surgeries because of what's already been done. So I think I best fit you into hearing aids. And that's when I got my first set of hearing aids. And that really just changed my world in terms of being able to hear for the first time the most clear and accurately as I've ever been able to hear. And that definitely helped improve in terms of my singing and my day to day experiences and just conversation. So it's not like I'm fully deaf. So when they're out, I can still hear, but very more selective or on a one on one basis versus in crowds and bigger groups and at distances. But when it comes to my music, it's something that kind of was told to me that, this is going to be a huge thing for you to navigate having a music career if you were to have one at all. And I'm definitely all about beating the odds and proving people wrong. So I wasn't going to take no for an answer and I was going to go after my dreams anyways. And I think that's where my resilience really comes in. I've just been through so much throughout my childhood when it comes to illness and my health, on top of mental health, on top of the, personal issues, being bullied, all these other things. And it's just all of that I've overcome and not let hold me back. And it's definitely something that I have to navigate and do differently than most artists. If anything, I kind of work, I would say, harder than some artists because I have to overcome so much of that and work through it. But I just want people to know that, it's not something that really defines me either, because I don't let anything like that define me. But if anyone's going through something or being told they can't do something, then just prove them wrong like I did. And if you love it enough and you work hard, then you can put anything you can do anything you put your mind to.
It's a true inspiration, Brie. I said I can truly relate. I'm half deaf, same as you, not born that way, operated into that way.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah. As you're telling me this, I can't help but it just resonates so much. And I've done other pieces on some of the other shows that I do. I don't qualify for hearing aids. I qualify for something called bone conduction.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm exploring and we're waiting for that. So phenomenal. But you're right, and there's again so much more we can do there. And it's amazing. It's so beautiful that you're able to create music having gone through that. But that moment when you hear yourself, one of the things that I've always struggled with when I play guitar or sing is, do I sound right? Like, am I in the right key? Am I the right am I hearing myself the way others would hear me?
Yeah.
Did you ever question yourself that way or?
Before I got my hearing aids when I was younger, yeah, I was always insecure about it and I was always unsure of myself. And it's definitely something, I mean, I took piano lessons and some guitar lessons when I was younger. And it definitely was something that I was unsure about for a long time and navigating and not like, you don't hear things as clearly. And you were like, just you sharing
Yeah,
your story, like there's so many different types of hearing loss that people don't realize that, I've really started opening up about this a lot more because there's so many people walking around day to day that have disabilities we can't see necessarily. So yourself, people
yeah,
probably were like, wait, you have a hearing issue. They don't know you're not wearing a hearing aid, but there's some hearing damage there. You're having some things you have to overcome and hurdle through in your day to day life. And that's something that I've had to do. Like I have longer hair. So I have the hearing aids. People don't see them. They don't know. They assume things about people. Right. So it's something that does change as you navigate through life. But I definitely want people to realize that there's different kinds of hearing loss as well, because
yeah.
most people don't real like think they go, oh, like when you get old, you get hearing aids. But there's people like at all ages that have hearing issues of some sort, and it's always different pitches. So both my ears are actually different pitches that I hear. So my left ear doesn't hear higher pitches, my right ear doesn't hear lower pitches. So my like balanced hearing is why I have the two hearing aids that can balance it. But when they come out, I hear things differently. So I have better hearing in one ear in one way and then the other. It's just so strange, but everyone has different hearing degeneration and different hearing, issues that happen, right?
Absolutely. We are not broken. That's
No.
all I'll say. We are not broken. But I did too. I went through that journey where I really was afraid to tell people and how they would think of me, or I thought I wouldn't have the same opportunities as other people. And it took a while to get to this point where I could, like you, speak about
Yeah.
it and embrace it and figure things out. So awesome. So look at as we take that and we get more into your music, um, your music is in a genre that is very rooted in tradition, and you have a very unique blend and style. And you talked about balancing things, but how do you balance or honoring country storytelling while still challenging some of the conventions, with your you've got a bit of a rebellious rock infused style to you as well. So
Mhm. Thanks. I mean, I really just started embracing my authentic self and what I really have always felt was like me. I grew up listening to classic rock from my dad's influences and pop music, being a millennial, growing up in like the boy band generation and like the Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera's of the world. But then my mom and dad had always like, influenced me in that they were very diverse in their own musical interests. My mom's into country music, so that's where the country stuff came from. And I just think that for me, I early in my career, I started being pushed in different directions and told, this is what you need to do, or if you want to fit into this genre. And everyone was trying to put me in a box. And I really just finally got to a point in my career after finally trying country music in 2019 for a couple years, and it through the COVID years, it didn't like really stick the way I wanted it to. And I just felt like my appearance and the way I dress has never been a typical country girl, and I've never felt like a typical country girl. And I have like my punk rock roots that have been more, I started in a punk rock band in high school, and I just never felt like I had a place to fit in, and I wanted to just do me anyway. So my single Dauntless, when I finally wrote that, was finally my moment to say like screw everyone telling me who to be, what to do, how to dress, what box I fit in. I'm not going to fit in one box. Let's just embrace it all. And that went over so well with fans and listeners, and people started actually turning heads and going like, wait, what is this? I kind of like this. And I've always been told by people like, I don't really like country music, but I like what you're doing. So I just really leaned into that and leaned into who I really am and who I've always really been and what felt good to me. And the more I've been doing that on this journey, the more it's been well received, and just I've been getting, more opportunities, which I think comes the more you're being just authentically yourself. And it's interesting when you bring up like the like traditional side of country music. There's always going to be those people that like prefer traditional country, and that's great and that's good, but I'm not maybe the one for you to be listening to, and that's okay. And I don't take offense to that. In the past, I think I always just wanted to please everybody, and I finally just realized throughout my years, I'm like, you can't please everyone, but as long as you're happy and doing what you love and you're doing it for the people who do love it and love what you're doing, then that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So I think just embracing all of those things and pieces of myself have really just been the best experience and the best thing I can do as an artist.
well, maybe we're going to pull some of the traditionalists back in because what you're doing is pretty unique, and I think you are respecting the roots as well. Look, your style comes out in your new hit single "Wake Up."
Thank
It does, it channels a bit of that punkish rock energy, but in a country setting. Um, you're merging these seemingly opposite genres, and you've given us some background on it. It does seem very personal, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the part that for me is the country artist in me is the storytelling, is my personal experiences and my stories that I've gone through on a day-to-day basis and my emotions that I pour into the songs. And I think that's why country music has always felt the most at home to me as an artist, is because I'm a songwriter first and I'm a storyteller through my experiences. And since I was a little kid, like when I turned to writing and songwriting, it's been a personal journey. It's been my emotional outlet. It's been my therapy. So for me as an artist, that's what I prioritize number one. And then the genre blending comes in more of a production sense. And then in terms of my image and branding and style, that's just who I am. So that just translates. And I was actually ironically today leaving a doctor's office this afternoon in an elevator, and a girl walked in and she's like, your style's really cool. Like I really love your look. And I was like, thanks. Like I'm an artist. So, I walk the walk, talk the talk, look the look. And she's just like, yeah, look, what kind of music? And I said, country rock. And she's like, that's so funny because I was torn between in which one you were, but that makes sense. And then she went and looked me up on Spotify. So I was like, I'm my own walking billboard in promotion in a way, but that's just me being me. And my style is different. I'm not your typical country girl. And I've just like embraced that. But the punk rocker in me will always live on. And I think that that kind of is a unique spin on country. And there's so much cool stuff happening with the genre blending in the country music genre right now, which I think the US has more of that going on. Canada's a little behind still, and hopefully they're going to catch on soon. But they're a little late to the game, I think. But I'm just, rolling with it and doing what's right for me.
It's interesting, Bree, and as a person who runs a radio station and does this type of work, we like to label things like country or punk or rock, and sometimes good music is just good music, and
Yeah.
that's what I think you've got is you've got good music. Look, many artists talk about the catharsis, right, in their
Mhm.
songwriting, but what moment or emotion sparked the creation of Wake Up? How do you push through vulnerability to share that, so boldly?
Wake Up was a kind of a cool collaborative effort with the right. So I co-wrote the song with my friend Alex Sire and Kelly McKay. And it was a write that, I came into with a bit of an idea and some stories of what I wanted to talk about, meaning like I've gone through a lot when it comes to dating, and a lot of men have kind of fumbled the ball and kind of just, lost what they had in front of them, or said, you're kind of marriage material, but I'm not ready for that just yet. And they just weren't like ready for me at the time. And I've always told my friends, like, oh, they're going to wake up one day and realize what they had when they could have had it, and it'll be too late. And it was ironic that my co-writer Alex was sitting having his morning coffee and was like, I really need to wake up for this, right? And came up with the title Wake Up and the first couple lines of the chorus and brought the idea into the room, which I was like, oh my God, I'm kind of on the same page because this is what I was telling him of a story. And then I got on my tangents because that's how I am in a write. And I kind of tell my stories and my sharing my experiences. And I pulled so many different inspirations from different guys that have said different things or different experiences that I've gone through with different people at different time. And we kind of took it like, oh, wake up before it's too late concept versus like the after effects. And it's just like that urgency of, wake up before you miss out on a good thing. And we poured that into it. And that's where I kind of was like, oh, well, why don't we try to pull a Taylor Swift You Belong With Me concept, but like make it a pop punk kind of version, like a Taylor, like we'll make it a Bree Taylor kind of song. So we took that kind of with like the girl concept of a guy's with the wrong girl and he needs to wake up now before it's too late. So it was kind of a collaborative approach to the song. And it has still my authentic storytelling in it and has a lot of my personal experiences. But I know a lot of people have been asking me, like, oh, who's this one about? Because people know I'm very autobiographical. And I kind of just loved the drama esque that people kind of started about that when it came out. And I just leaned into it and was like keeping people curious. But really, it's not about one specific person, it's kind of about a few different guys.
Now, when you perform these live eventually at some point, as you're doing these, are you gonna give these little story tidbits before you play the song, or are you just more of a, hey, I'm just gonna play my music, listen?
Depends on the song. Sometimes I
Okay.
do really lean into it, especially when it's a new single. So this one I do kind of share a little bit, but I'm a talker. So I mean, on stage I can just chat forever. So I try to shorten it and give like smaller snippets on the live show. So people definitely have to tune into interviews like this to get the full scoop and inside stories. But I think that has its own place as well. So I mean, definitely I like to share a little bit when I'm on stage for sure.
So look, your voice has been described as fearless and gritty. When you are performing live, um, what inner voice or what feeling do you lean on to maintain that, that powerful presence? As you continue to gain this momentum, would you say now that you're getting that is that your vocal signature?
I think so. It's funny, I've been hired to do a couple acoustic kind of gigs. I did a corporate event this past February for a blood drive, and my that hired me on the gig was like, the feedback was that you're too loud and we need to like turn you down. And they kind of think maybe they should choose the songs. And I said, you know what, stop right there. Obviously, I'm not the right artist for the following opportunity. I just think that I'm not going to change who I am for someone else. And I'm at that point in my career where if you book Bree Taylor for a show, you get a Bree Taylor show. So my voice is very distinctive. It's very bold. It's very loud. It's very prominent and it's a presence and I'm a presence. And that's just how I've curated my live show and my voice. So to change that, I'm not a background singer. If you want a coffee house singer, there's a million people that are out there that specialize in that and love doing that. And I can recommend people for that, but that's not me. And I do turn down gigs if that's not the right fit for me or right fit for the client. So yeah, it really is when you get a Bree Taylor show, you get a Bree Taylor show. So that's kind of what we've built. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I think that that's part of being an artist. And that's the kind of shows that I want to put on. And that's the kind of artist I want to be. So I don't take offense. Like I said, there's something for everyone. And if I'm not your cup of tea, that's okay. I'm totally fine with that too. But there will be the right people that will like our music and will like the show that we have. But yeah, my voice is pretty distinctive like that. I mean, it's just how it's come to be. I actually used to live a very kind of introverted shell went back before my hearing with my hearing issues. I was very like my vocal coach back in the day called me a turtle. She's like, you're a turtle with this big voice and you pop out of your shell once in a while, but then you're scared and you hide and you pull back. It's like, I get that now that I've fully just embraced who I am. Looking back on that, I'm like, yeah, because, and I teach music as well. So some of my students, I can totally relate to that when they're feeling those moments and they're kind of in that same mode. But really, it's just embracing yourself and who you are, and like that's just my voice, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So Bree, on the heels of that, would you say that there's any misconception that people have about you or your music, and if they do, or you know what they are, how do you hope to change their perception through your art?
I think the only thing that I can say is that I feel like people are intimidated and scared of me sometimes. I always tell people, come up to me after a show. I don't bite, like say hi. I'm really friendly. But I think because I do have such an intense live show and an intense presence, and I'm very bold and open and opinionated and unapologetic in so many ways, that I think a lot of people can kind of think that, oh, especially when I have like my rebel country movement that I've started, people start to think, oh, is she a bad influence? Is she a bad girl? Or is she mean? Is like all these preconceived notions that I think are just completely not true about me. Like a lot, like I yes, I get along with a lot of guys. I spend a lot of time with guys in my band, and I've always been one of the boys, but I'm also a girl's girl. I don't tolerate mean girls. That's a different type of girl. So for me, it's just, yeah, I'm a friendly, open, bubbly person once you get to know me. But sometimes the live show, you take on a persona, and people can misconstrue what your intentions are and what you stand for. But I'm really passionate about what I do, and I'm passionate about the things that I believe in. I'm passionate about my friends and my family, and I'm very much, I stand up for the underdog, and that's what I really have always felt like has been my journey. Is I've always identified a little bit as an underdog, so I kind of like proving the odds wrong, and I think that's just what I've leaned into with my music, my sound, my brand. And yeah, I just want people to know that like I'm none of those things, if that's what you think. And I mean, I try to respond to everyone's messages on and comments on social media, get back to people's DMs and talk to you after a show. So that's definitely more who I am. So it's just, I would really just want people to know that, and just to don't be scared of me and come talk and say hi and get to know me and see who I really am. And don't believe everything you hear on social media or you read in comments sections or whatever that is. But yeah, I just don't judge a book before you get to know it.
Right on. Approach Bree. She and on social media and at live shows. Was there anything in in the things that you said? Was there ever a moment that you've had to unlearn something about yourself or your music in order to move forward?
I think the only thing I've had to unlearn was to not care so much about what other people think about me, and not to be such a people pleaser, because you can't please everyone, and just being yourself is the only thing that really matters at the end of the day, and just staying true to you and your values and your beliefs and who you really are. And that's what I've just kind of leaned into. And the only thing I would unlearn is all of those traits, because they really don't matter at the end of the day.
Tell me how you mentioned your band. Tell me how you got together with your band. You said the boys in the band, you know them a long time, um, or came to you, you came to them. What happened there?
So I've played with so many different people over the years. So I start every artist that's a solo artist usually starts out with session players,
Right?
and you kind of just based upon availability, who's available, who's open and able to play with you, and who's got the time and availability. And then I started, as I was doing more shows, realizing that people became more loyal to some artists that they played with for longer, or whatever that might be, or their personal relationships kind of played a huge part in availability and wanting to to take gigs or when they're able to take gigs. So that was something that I started to be like, you know what, I think I need to just build my own band. And I teach at a music school, so I had a couple friends that we teach together there, and we kind of built the current band that I have now based upon that. And people come and go in your life in that journey. So there's been some people recently that have left that were around last summer for my summer gigs, but you have to keep growing and pushing yourself. And I have to also run myself as a business. So that's an important factor. So then, sometimes things don't always work out and fit, and you got to replace members, which sucks when there's friendships involved, but you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. And yeah, we've just kind of built it that way, but we've got a really good rapport going and good vibes with the current group. And yeah, and there's still some of the original members and all of that, but at the end of the day, it is Bree Taylor band. So I got to just do what I got to do.
Resilience and perseverance. Your debut album is coming out soon. I believe it's scheduled for October the 10th. What story or message are you most excited about to share with listeners with respect to the album that maybe they haven't heard from your singles?
Well, I've been kind of really getting this ready because it's getting ready for rolling out, and I had to actually sit and think about that when I'm trying to get my marketing drivers ready for like DSPs, digital streaming platforms, for like getting into playlisting and all of that. And I really sat with it, and I really realized when I'm like deciding on the order of my songs and how like I'm going to tell this story as an overall story. And it really has been my journey of self love and discovery of myself. So that's been a huge part of what I think these songs have represented. And the title track of the album is called Worship. And I've been saying for the last year and a bit, since coming out of my last toxic relationship that I was in, that inspired my single I Regret You, that's off of the album. My dogs are fighting with each other. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We've had pets on the show many times, so
Not the
yeah.
time for you two to be doing this. I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought. Um, I
We, it's okay. It's okay. Well, let's bring it back.
sorry, here, she'll say hi. Rebel,
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Yay.
say
Who
hello.
is this?
Now stop fighting with your sister.
Who did you just see? Because we've had pets on the show. Who is that?
Oh, this one?
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't know why she's not showing up there. There.
there we go.
Don't
She
blur
comes
your
in.
face. Stop. Don't move. This is Rebel. This is Rebel, and she got her name because she is a little rebellious spirit.
Bravo.
And it just, yeah, she is a rebel. Rebel country
Awesome.
there.
Welcome to the show, Revel.
Then this one's Aria. She's 16 and a half. I've had her for a long time.
Wow. Hi, Aria.
But yeah,
Wow.
she's senior, so her sister likes to bully her and fight her, and I'm just like, stop.
Wow.
I have to separate
Awesome.
them sometimes. I'm so sorry. They were good for a bit, but you guys calm down now. Um, let me jump back into that. So
Right.
yeah, so I think I was saying it's yes about self love, really my journey to self love and to really just self discovery of what I'm looking for when it comes to relationships and just knowing my worth at the end of the day. So I've been saying that I'm in my worship me era since coming out of that toxic relationship, and I think that I was put through so much with that it was finally like the moment that I came out of that relationship that I realized I was never going to tolerate any of the BS that I went through, none of the cheating and the lying or any of the tolerating the tolerable behavior that I'd had for someone and putting up with all of those things and being made like he had me questioning my self-worth, my career, everything. At the end, he wanted to change so much about me, and he had me actually questioning it and debating, do I actually give in to what he's wanting to build this future? Because you still, as a woman, a lot of times you still want love, and you still want to have, I mean, some, not all, but some people want to have a family, and that's a huge part that I think us female artists are having to. I'm hearing a lot about it lately, about like navigating the struggles of having a family, because women are the child bearers. So it's a big thing. Like a lot of female artists feel like they have to hide pregnancy or be ashamed of pregnancy or put off pregnancy and starting families and all of that. And I've had some friends starting to navigate that journey. I've been actually heard something about Lainey Wilson got all upset recently in an interview being asked that question, because I think there's so much more pressure on us as females. And that's something for me that held me off for a long time, because I was like, I really do want a family, but I've kind of made peace with that. I'd rather be in a relationship with the right person, obviously, and starting that family versus to, give up a piece of myself, which is my music and my career. So really getting into my worship me era is just to kind of not settling for anything less than what I feel I deserve in a partner, and knowing that I know what I bring to the table and my self-worth. So that's what the title track is going to be called, and that's what the song is about. And I hope it's really empowering for women when they hear it, because I want them to know that they deserve that too. And until somebody's ready to quote unquote worship you, then don't settle for anything other than that. And I think that that's something more women need to hold strong to in their day-to-day lives when it comes to relationships. So yeah, that's kind of been the journey going into this album, and what the journey of the album represents is kind of telling a story of me discovering that, and it kind of starts and ends with the worship song.
It sounds exciting. You're in a good place. Love the message of empowerment for women there. And Bree, I think you're in the place that you're supposed to be when it comes to this and the message that you're giving and your music. And I'm very excited for you, and I'm very excited for the album. Um, Look, Wake Up was produced by Grady Saxman in Nashville, mixed by Jonathan Roche Jr., I think, and mastered by Frank Gagliardi. Is this team your team in Nashville? Like, are these the album team as well, or do you have a mix of that going on?
Yeah, no, they have done every song from my single Dauntless until Wake Up. And then we're going to have two more songs. Worship is the title track of the album, as well as one bonus track that will be on the 8-song album coming out in October. And yeah, they have been a huge pivotal part of the team. They've kind of produced, mixed, and mastered everything. From all of those songs there, and they've been amazing. They're great guys. And when I got connected with them, and they got my vision for what I was trying to do, it was just an amazing experience, just having them help me bring these songs to life in this new kind of direction that I've been taking my music, in a more punk rock route way. So yeah, it's been great, and I'm excited to have them on the team, and it's been great working with them all, and they all bring their own little touch to it.
Did you meet them all in Nashville?
Yeah, I got some feedback. I was doing some consulting, and I got some feedback that, the music that I was doing in Canada just wasn't as commercial and progressive in terms of the sound and the overall production. So I needed to kind of change that up a little bit. And that was what I decided to do. And I was introduced to Grady, and I loved him and his team. And yeah, everybody's been great.
Now, as a Canadian in Nashville, how are you seen? Does origin matter, or does music erase all boundaries these days?
I don't think origin matters at all. I think that, they love Canadians down there, and there's so many Canadians living and working down there as it is, that I don't know if it's even, I'd say sometimes in conversation, obviously it comes up, but otherwise, yeah, it's not, I don't think it has any effect.
Music is music. Look, you've given us kind of where Bree Taylor is at. So if I say to you, where do we see Bree Taylor next? Did you just give us a glimpse into that anyways, in everything we've talked about?
I think so. I think I like
Yeah.
to keep a little bit of mystery though, so I think people can just keep watching and stay tuned for where we're headed. And worship will definitely be the next era. So yeah, just stay tuned.
The worship era. Bree, thank you for being here with me and the listeners on the Path Radio Spotlight. Before I let you go and we close out the show, is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with?
No, I just hope that people are loving the music and will check it out and support the album. And there's a lot of things that I've got that I'm going to be announcing in the next little bit, and some great promo for the album coming out. And follow me on social media for staying in touch. And if you want to reach out and send me a DM or comment on a post, appreciate everyone that's along for the ride. And if you feel like you don't belong somewhere, that you just know that you can belong here. So that's all.
That is Bree Taylor, and she isn't here to play it safe. You can hear that in every single line that she sings. The debut album lands October 10th, but if Wake Up is any sign, the worship era is going to hit hard. We've talked about the songs, the stories, the grit it takes to carve out your own space in music. I know we'll be hearing a lot more from you after October 10th, but for now, I'll let the music do the talking. You can hear Brie on thepathradio.com. I'll have her socials in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me on the Path Radio Spotlight. Brie, I hope you'll come back and take care.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.